All right, everyone. Well, I'm Eric Green. I am joined by Felecia Dixson, who, aside from being having her own IRS resolution practice, is one of our trainers at Tax Prep Network. She's also one of my go-to gurus when it comes to practice automation, because um, as much as we use a lot of automation in resolution, I don't do tax returns. All right. And so you and Dawn are sort of my go-to people. And with the 2026 guide being updated, uh, I'm always amazed at just how the whole landscape shifts from year to year and gets better and better. The AI tools, all kinds of stuff. But from your perspective, what are the benefits for tax pros who are watching this or reading this? Like, yeah, it sounds good, but why move? Why move on automation? Why implement this?
Oh my gosh. I could tell the whole story of, and I'm sure you've heard this too, and you've even probably been there somewhat, is that, when I first started into practice, there was no automation. There wasn't even a computer. Everything was done by hand. And as we have evolved over the years, the automation has just been such a blessing, whether you're an individual preparer or whether you have a team, because what you can do with automation that we couldn't do before. So, me as a sole practitioner, I this year did not have to have a contractor to help me. I use the automation tools and I learned even more about how to make them work together. When I say that, I mean like with Zapier and how to make, so I have a project board and which is Trello. So I created a Zapier that when the engagement letter is signed in Ignition, it automatically creates the project within my project board. So I know it's there. I don't have to do that admin work. And I don't have an admin person. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer, right? And
Right.
so then, and with Lisio, I'm able to put all of my clients into Lisio. It all talks to QuickBooks. It all talks to Ignition. I only have to enter the client once and it all automates inward. And it just comes full circle. So I have eliminated a contractor. I have eliminated an admin staff. I don't need them because the automation takes care of that for me. That being said, it's not a perfect world, but it is far better than it was even 2 years ago.
Right, right. And as you hinted at, you didn't need a contractor. It is, I think the best term it's a force multiplier. So if you're watching this or you read the guide and you think, well, look, I have three staff people. What I would suggest to you is if you did this, you might be thinking, well, I don't want to get rid of my people. You don't have to. But instead of doing 500 returns or 700 returns, what if you could get 2,000 done?
Absolutely. That's a great place to go, Eric. It's because even when you have staff, they need to understand why the importance of the automation and how much more they can do beyond what the automation can do. So with that automation tool, I left out the fact that I use Gruntworks, which does a lot of the data entry. So if we have the staff, then the staff can do the behind the scenes second look, looking at all the things that Gruntworks doesn't do, the C's,
Right.
the F's, and leave all the other stuff to what the word says, all the grunt work. So that your staff is not doing that. And that does allow a firm to bring in more work for their staff who benefits. Two benefits there. Firm makes more money. Guess what? Staff's going to get raises because the firm's made more money.
And for the folks, again, because I hear this a lot. Well, Eric, I don't use, listen, let me explain something. If somebody came here and said, I know you guys use these products, but if you would change this product, we could automate this and you could double your income. Watch how quickly our firm changes product. So I've had this where, well, you know what? Gruntworks is great, but it doesn't work with my tax software. Okay, I have a better idea. If you could automate it, get 65% of your staff time back, How about you consider changing tax software, which by the way, I know is a pain in the neck. But for that kind of a return, so in other words, I think folks should really be thinking about, well, folks should be considering rethinking their entire practice. How can I get this done in an automated fashion? All right, well, I'm using Ignition, I've got QuickBooks, but maybe my tax software, this Gruntworks thing sounds really good with Liscio, it all flows right in, but it won't work with my software. So you know what? The missing piece is put those pieces in place and let's change software. Let's get it implemented by year end. And if I can automate this and I can see profitability, or depending on your age, I just want to get my life back.
Oh, and I agree with that 100% because I am that depending on your age category, and I do want, I have been in, excuse me, in practice now over 4 decades. And so it is huge. It's one of those where you go, how do we make this easier without disrupting life in general and without disrupting the practice? And keeping it ethical. And the thing that I find really huge in that big concept, and we did talk about Gruntworks and we talked about Liscio, with Liscio especially, is that it allows me to get the information up to the clients in I'm protecting their PII. And then I'm also allowing the automation of Liscio to poke the bear, as I like to call it. They're constantly poking the client saying, I need, I need, I need. I only have to do that once. I don't have to constantly reach out. I'm not doing that admin side again. We're taking away that admin piece of constantly poking the bear and saying, how I need, or picking up the phone. Because in time studies that I have done over the years, when you pick up a file, every time you pick up the file and you look through it, and then you have to contact the client, if you've talked to the client, it's not a 5-minute conversation, it's 20. So let's say you take 30 minutes, then you go back to the file. Well, it's going to take you another 20 minutes to get back to where you were before you called the client. So the time studies show that you lose so much time in doing that, where when you have the automation tool, such as Liscio, you put the information in, you tell the clients what you need, and you let Liscio remind the clients constantly what it is that you're looking for.
Right.
And I've had clients reach out and say, hey, I'm still getting a message, and because maybe I forgot to mark that it was complete. We're all guilty of that, right? Season comes, things will happen. Client reached out the other day and said, I'm still getting this message. Oh, forgot to mark it. So I went in, marked it complete, so they'll quit getting poked.
Yep, no, it does a number of things. First of all, it avoids transposition errors, input errors. It prevents burnout, right? Because now there's a rhythm to everything, and you're not grinding till 10, 11 at night. By the way, when you're not grinding away and burned out, you can think more clearly. You add more value, all right? You will see opportunities that right now you're probably just blowing past me. You're just trying to get everything done,
Right.
and uh, it really, I think, is going to change everything. And the last point, all right, and I love your take on this because, I do deal with a lot of private equity people. They're very interested in tax and accounting practices. Nobody wants to buy your job, but if yours is automated, all of a sudden now you have a business that if somebody bought, they could put somebody in. I have an EA or CPA, I can plug in and things just keep rolling. The old practice where you met with your clients, remember those days? They bring
Oh, yeah.
everything in and, nobody wants to buy that. What you've got is almost worthless. Almost. Not
Okay.
quite. They might buy the book and just pay you on an earn out if the clients stay. So this does a number of things. You're training your clients to get used to automation, to uploading things. Two, you're building more enterprise value because now it's worth more. We have a private equity group. They'll pay 3 to 4 times EBITDA if it's automated versus 1 times EBITDA if it's not. That for like somebody doing 175, 200,000 a year, that's a lot of money.
It is huge.
That's
That is a
half
lot of
million
money.
dollars. All right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good way to look at that. I mean, because in today's world, unlike it was even, like I said, even let's just go 5 years ago. It is so different today than it was even 5 years ago. The AI tools that we have that we can utilize, and I've seen it bounced around in the social media concepts of, oh, AI is going to take over jobs. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is not going to take anybody's job. It is not here to do that. It is here to make your job easier and better. Because now, when it's easier, and you're not, as you said, we're not doing all that grunt work. We're not doing all the admin side. We're not doing the data entry. We're not poking the bear and constantly calling the client. We are looking for the what ifs. Oh, well, what if we, manipulated it this way and we looked at it like this? Or have you ever thought about doing this? And so it gives us that opportunity to have a clear vision and not just sit and say, well, I got to grind out the W-2s, especially during tax season. And, we're just constantly doing the grind. And that comes in the accounting world too, whether it's a bookkeeping or tax, it really doesn't matter. You still have that grind. So finding that balance for the client, as you said, and for the practitioner both is huge, because that's where we become valuable as a practitioner to our clients. They then, and again, as you said, when we automate it, I mean, and I would agree, the automation of a practice would be 10 times fold, a much better practice. I wouldn't want to buy a practice where I had to sit and go and talk to every client one-on-one in a meeting, because I've been there, done that. It's how we did it in the past. Don't do that anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that you won't have that onesie twosies, elderly couple that just can't get there. I had a gentleman yesterday send me a message, and I said, look, everything has to come through the portal. I don't open up documents. Put it in the portal. I'm not, I just emailed him back and said that. I thank you for the documents, but they has to come through the portal.
Now what we have done, because every now and then so in Connecticut, we have a number of, I mean, we have one of the wealthiest counties in the United States. Every now and then we have people that are like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Yeah, I'm just going to give it to you. We've actually told them, okay, but if my staff, what I've told people to train my clients, said, look, we'll do this, but just understand something. We're not Kinkos. If I have to have a staff person sit there, pull staples out, double-sided. By the way, every piece of paper is a different size, right? So you can't just run the whole thing through. So there's their time, and we're paying for the copier.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's $300 fee.
You got the copier fee, you got the printing, the paper, even if you're just scanning it in, it takes time for the staff person to sit there and do all of that. I understand,
So, and so 99% say, you know what, I'll go to I'll go to Staples or whatever and scan it. Great. I've had people say, charge me the 300. I'm sending it FedEx. Okay.
it's so we give them options, right? And the options are for them to make the decisions of how we do the business, how we do business. And if they are of the option, hey, I'll pay for it, I'll take your money.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, because I want to pay for my staff and I want to respect staff as well,
Yeah.
because they are valuable. And
Yeah.
if they're not doing that, they're going to be doing something else that's billable.
Right. No, and listen, but to the point, we've had we do take low income taxpayer clinic cases, we do pro bono. If the right person calls and they really can't do it, we'll do it. Come on in, yeah, well, don't worry about it. But again, they're not coming in with volumes of stuff. They're coming in with a W-2, their apartment lease, and stuff like that.
I look like that. I do that with my veteran clients that are in the veterans home. If I know that they don't have the ability, don't have a computer, and they don't have that ability to do that. So yeah, I'll bring that in and I'll do it, and we'll take it back over to him, but that's one in a few. That's not
You're electing to do that.
exactly.
In other words, the way, like I tell, you've heard this before. I like to pick my pro bono work, not have it pick me. And so I'm happy to do that, but we'll make the decision because of your circumstances. But
Mhm.
otherwise, no, you can scan the stuff up.
No, I totally agree. I'm with you. I do pro bono work too, and I pick the cases. I do one, maybe two a year. That I don't do a lot, but again, I am very notoriously picking. If I don't think that it's something that you can't afford because I know your circumstances, that's one thing. But if it's something that I'm like, yeah, well, just looking at your tax bill is going to go, something tells me something doesn't pass smell test here. You can probably afford to have this done. So. It just, again, it depends on the case and the circumstances that surround it.
Right. Exactly. So thank you for taking the time, Felicia, to do this with me. For the folks listening, the guide is going to give you all kinds of ideas on things and areas that you can automate. Automating your practice is this in this day and age is a non-negotiable. You've just got to for your own mental well-being, your own profitability, and as I said, your enterprise value.
So one thing that we didn't touch on real quick, and I'll throw it out there, Eric, is the ethical side of the AI practice.
Sure.
Everybody's using an AI tool of some sort, and if you're not, you should be. I'm a firm believer in them. I think I have a ton of them. I have played with them a lot during season this year. And the one that I mean, I have one in particular that I use, and honestly, I rewrite every email that I write, I throw it back up into AI and say, rewrite this for me. And I just want it to give me a different professional perspective of how my wording looks. And then I throw that back up in. It's the same thing. I've written it. They've just kind of reworded it and rerouted it the way it looks a little better. But what I do know is that there is a lot of AI out there and people are throwing their tax clients' information up there. And I would say just, AI is great. Just be careful and make sure you're following the circular 230 ethical guidelines for that piece because it can get you in a pickle. Because AI is not here to replace us. It's not here to replace our knowledge. It's only here to give us suggestions.
And beware that like ChatGPT, OpenAI, this stuff, that's a public domain. You should not be putting client information.
And if you are going to use that for that, please get a paid version. Pay for the AI. I pay for all of my AI. I don't have a free version of anything.
Yeah.
I pay for all of it. And the reason for that, everybody, is because the paid version, they do not share whatever you're chatting about inside there. So just note that. But that there again, I'm very cautious. I lead on the side of caution, even with a paid version. I just don't know what's happening on the other end of that AI. I realize it's not an open domain for everybody, for public, but I am still very cautious about putting PII up there. I just err on the side of caution. And I would tell anybody, if you're looking for, the other side of that would be if you're looking for, some kind of tax research and you've done your research, make sure you vet your answers. Don't take what AI gives you, even though it looks good. Make sure you're looking at it and it's giving you the links of where they're coming from so that you can go look at that link and see exactly what that data says.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, Felicia, thank you. Everyone listen, thank you. I hope you get a lot out of this year's guide and enjoy and implement. Implement. It's great to get good ideas. They're not worth anything unless you implement them. So implement them.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Eric, for having me.